If you are hearing these words, know this. It is not by chance, but a long-awaited resonance. Your soul may have sensed this call itself. Before we step beyond the ordinary together, allow me to propose you make a choice. Your like is not mere approval, it is a clear manifestation of your intent. And subscribing is your step forward, joining the ranks of those who relentlessly seek answers. The truth, so carefully concealed by them behind the veil of everyday news, is actually surprisingly simple, yet all the more frightening for it. It is connected to one specific place that, in itself, becomes the key to understanding our entire convoluted history. This is not simply a conspiracy theory, but rather a meticulously crafted conspiracy against your very consciousness, woven from suppressed facts capable of shattering the illusory world we are accustomed to living in. I am speaking of Atlantis, not of myth, not of a beautiful, hazy legend, but of a real geographical place whose location was predicted with astonishing, almost mystical accuracy, foretold by Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet. This was a man whose hypnotic trances, like unsealed law scrolls, revealed far more than mere dry historical facts. He spoke of Atlantis not as fiction, but as a civilization that once truly existed, wielding colossal, undeniable influence over all of humanity. And most astonishingly, he pinpointed its coordinates. Not abstract hints or poetic metaphors, but precise mathematically calculated points on the map of the modern world. He spoke of the place where the Bahamas now lie, more specifically, the submerged lands in the Bimini region. He spoke of the legendary Bimini Road, that enigmatic underwater formation which some consider merely a natural geological phenomenon, a trick of nature, while others see it as undeniable proof of a once great sunken continent. But why does this location, so precisely and clearly indicated, remain virtually inaccessible for full-scale, truly independent research? Why do those who dare to attempt a deeper probe into the mysteries of this underwater world encounter seemingly insurmountable obstacles, endless bureaucratic hurdles, and at times, according to rumors, far more sinister hidden forces that appear unwilling to reveal these ancient secrets? The answer lies in the very essence of Atlantis, in what it taught the world, and in the treasure trove of knowledge it preserved. Edgar Cayce described Atlantis as a highly advanced civilization possessing technologies that, even by our current standards, seem like incredible fantasy. They utilized crystals as sources of energy, as communication devices, and as tools to manipulate matter itself. According to his revelations during trances, these crystals were not mere stones but living, resonant entities intimately connected to the Earth's deepest energy fields. It is precisely this knowledge, these technologies, that represent the very secret they so desperately strive to preserve underwater in oblivion. Consider the connection of events. Cayce spoke of this in the middle of the 20th century. What else was discussed at that time? Cosmic programs, the search for new energy sources, attempts to decipher ancient writings. And somewhere between these surface events, between parades and wars, quietly lay hidden the truth about a civilization that reached peaks of greatness, and then, according to Cayce, perished due to the misuse of its power, due to an excessive obsession with the material, completely abandoning the spiritual path. This is not simply a story about a sunken city. This is a narrative of an eternal cycle, a cycle of rise and fall, of gaining knowledge and subsequent forgetting, of awakening to life and descending into deep slumber. The coordinates that Cayce found are not merely a point on a map. They mark the beginning of a new awakening. Exploration of the so-called Bimini Road revealed a structure that appears too patterned, too orderly to be the creation of blind nature. The stone blocks laid with such striking precision resembled the roadways or walls of ancient, long-forgotten cities. Why would nature create such geometrically perfect forms resting on the seabed? Cayce asserted that the Atlanteans used these roads, these underwater structures, to move energy, to connect with their crystals. He often spoke of the Great Crypt, a colossal central repository of knowledge and energy, located, according to him, somewhere in the Bimini area. The closed report of the Club of Rome, despite its primary focus on economic and environmental challenges, indirectly confirms one extremely important thought. The current system is balancing on the edge of an abyss, on the verge of imminent collapse. And when any system begins to crumble, there are always those who seek to maintain control. Those who realize that true power lies not so much in managing matter as in managing consciousness. It is precisely these shrouded in mystery pieces of knowledge, these so-called Atlantean technologies, that could become both the key to humanity's survival and, conversely, the instrument for its ultimate enslavement. Imagine a civilization that reached such an incredible level of development that it managed to harness the very energy of the earth, that its people could travel through the air without any machines, that they could communicate across distances with a mere thought. They grasped the deepest secrets of existence, but in doing so, sadly overlooked the most crucial element: harmony. Their immeasurable arrogance, their intoxication with their own power, ultimately led them to catastrophe. And this monumental disaster, this irreparable loss, left its indelible mark, a mark that we, the current generation, are desperately trying to find. But they, those who wish to preserve their secrets, do not want us to discover this mark. They harbor fear. Their fear stems from the apprehension that we are capable of reclaiming lost knowledge, of grasping the true nature of our reality, which is perhaps far from what is visible. Cayce spoke of the fall of Atlantis not being a single event, but a process that unfolded over several stages. Before the final, crushing cataclysm, those Atlanteans who managed to preserve their spiritual wisdom foresaw the inevitable end. They concealed a portion of their knowledge, their precious crystals, in secluded places, decreeing their discovery at an opportune time. And that time has now arrived. That very sense of unease that grips you when you look at the world around you, at its chaos, at the seeming pointlessness of all existence. This is not a manifestation of depression. It is a call. It is the response of an awakening soul that senses falsehood, that feels a profound loss of something fundamentally important. Recently, a document came into my possession designated Leak from Chimera Protocol. The document detailed audacious attempts by a certain secret society whose aim is to establish control over world events. To achieve this, they skillfully manipulated information and rewrote historical narratives. Within the context of this protocol, the so-called artifacts of Atlantis were particularly highlighted. Objects that, according to researchers' beliefs, held within them an energetic code capable of fundamentally altering the course of human history. These were not mere fleeting rumors, but substantial confirmation that knowledge of Atlantis, of its colossal power, was either actively being used or, more likely, being hidden by those who crave global domination. Recall the predictions of the Bulgarian seer Vanga. Everything will melt like ice. Only one thing will remain: retribution. But retribution for what? For oblivion, for the denial of one's own divine nature. And now, let us turn to the prophecies of the Maya, cyclical conceptions of time pointing to an impending turning point, a profound transformation that by all appearances has already begun. Even the ancient Gnostics described our world as a kind of prison created by lower entities and spoke of the urgent need for awakening in order to return to the true spiritual world. All these seemingly disparate voices merge into one powerful chorus, broadcasting the same message. They whisper the same all-consuming truth. This world is merely a skilled illusion, and you are not who they persistently try to convince you that you are. That inexplicable, bone-chilling anxiety that suddenly grips you at 3 o'clock in the morning when the world stands still in pitch darkness. That heavy feeling of alienation you experience looking at the faceless crowds on a street ablaze with lights. Believe me, this is not mere depression, nor a weakness of spirit. This is your true soul, gasping for air within the confining boundaries of this artificial matrix. It remembers. It remembers being a part of something immeasurably greater, something irretrievably lost in the depths of time. And Cayce, with a subtle gesture of a hand pointing towards lost Atlantis, seems to guide you to the very source of this ancient memory, to the cherished key capable of putting everything back in its place. But what if all these terrifying monsters, raging wars, global crises, all-consuming pandemics are merely phantom shadows cast upon the wall of a metaphorical cave? What if the true, all-powerful tyrant is the one looking back at you from your own reflection? The true tyrant is ignorance. It holds you captive in illusory phantoms. It binds your mind. This is the very fear that paralyzes your will, leaving you powerless to move forward. It's the mistaken identification of yourself with fleeting matter, with a mortal body, with imposed social roles, causing you to forget your true, immortal essence. The universe itself does not punish humanity. It merely burns away the poison, the destructive poison of fear, deep ignorance, and tenacious materialism. This can be compared to a grand cosmic surgical operation. And the Bimini Road, these mysterious underwater structures, are merely a part of this grand process. They are like the medical charts of a lost civilization, which humanity needs to decipher to avoid repeating its fatal mistakes. And your glass crown is your vulnerable, fragile ego, built upon false, shaky self-perceptions. It trembles at the threat of complete destruction, fearfully avoiding the admission that it itself is merely a transient shell. The so-called metal veins are the faceless, soulless system that holds us in its grip, using fear, insatiable consumption, and constant distraction from what truly matters. But this confining network we endure can be broken. The prophets envisioned not a single savior destined to restore the world's lost harmony. No, they foresaw an entire army of souls awakened to true light. They saw you. You are not merely a single element of an ancient prophecy. You are its living embodiment, its most precise fulfillment. The mystery of Atlantis, veiled by ages, is no mere ancient legend. It is a key, an activation code, capable of awakening your own inner power, your true awakening. Now that your vision is finally clear, Now that the fog has lifted, you cannot afford to stand aside. Every like you give is a bright flash of light, instantly visible across the vast network, piercing the digital silence. And your repost is like a precious seed you sow with hope in the fertile ground of slumbering minds, capable of yielding unexpected growth. Your subscription, you see, is more than just a click. It's a true oath, a promise to stay with us. If you feel you're ready to step further, to walk this path together, then our exclusive inner circle will become your reliable operational base, a place where new ideas and strategies are born. And your support through Super Thanks is the vital energy that fuels our shared flame, spreading it into the darkest corners in this relentless battle against the encroaching darkness. Until we meet again, stay aware, stay connected with us, and never, do you hear me, never stop asking